address. So my Gmail is kellyann@gmail.
Yeah.
So I got to pick that. And I got free stuff, you know, things like that. But, nobody really knew what an influencer was. But I had a following on my blog, so they would let me, give out these invitations to people I thought were, worthy of a Gmail address.
Sure.
Yeah. So I do little contests and things, really.
Yeah.
But other than that, so I was blogging. Now Glitterati came several years later, actually.
Okay.
So I ended up going back to work after. So I ended up going back and becoming an employee again for the co-founder of AOL, Steve Case.
Oh, okay.
So they were launching some things, and they have a venture capital firm called Revolution, and they were launching a bunch of different things. And someone on the team there came to me, and they're like, "We really want you to teach us about this whole blogging thing." And this, social media thing. Mm-hmm. So I literally went in. I was still, young at the time, and I went in and I was being like, okay, so this is what a blog is, and this is what Facebook is, because Facebook had just been opened up to the public at that time.
Okay.
And there's a team of developers there who we would work on cool little apps to put on your Facebook page. You used to be able to put apps on your Facebook page. And then those guys actually started something called Living Social, which was pretty huge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we go too far, how did you originally meet Steve Case?
I mean, that was how someone just randomly, reached out. I was doing this PR consulting work, and I had my blog, and someone reached out to me. It was actually the person in charge of creating these privacy laws in healthcare. Mm-hmm. He was one of the people who wanted to start a project. And anyway, they reached out to me, and I was like, okay, sure, I'll do it. That's what happened. And I was with them for a few years. I started working with them before, Revolution was probably incorporated at the time, I think. Mm-hmm. But they were still planning it. So they basically had the executive team, the CFO. Well, actually, I started before the CEO started. And then he came on. So I was there really, really, really early. And I at first was a staff member of Steve Case's another company he had, which was this Hawaiian company.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
He's from Hawaii. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, so you spent a lot of time with them, and then at what point after your Revolution days did you decide I'm gonna branch off on my own and start Glitterati and take that company off?
Okay, well, several of the projects that I helped launch at Revolution, they had merged, with other companies and moved, and and really I had some things going on, like family stuff, and my grandma was like, "Can you come home for a little bit?" And I thought, okay, well, I'll go home for a couple of months, because they had just sold some things, merged some things, some things were happening at Revolution. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I'll go home and hang out for a while. And then that little while ended up, instead of moving to New York, I would have had to move to Brooklyn, I think. Mm-hmm. And I decided I wouldn't move to Brooklyn. I didn't want to. I was living in DC, and I didn't want to leave. Yeah. And to make a long story short, I thought, you know what, I need a break, because I've been working insane hours, launching all these things, and, lots of work, lots of work and travel. And I thought, well, I'll take a couple months off. The couple months ended up being 10 months. Mm-hmm. But during that, 10-month period, I started, I just started writing again and started blogging again. Yeah. And just playing around. And the next thing you knew, I had a bunch of advertisers. So, and I didn't even ask for them, but they were coming to me and asking me if they could, get exposure on my site. Yeah. And by that time, boy, what year was it? I don't even know what year it was, but then something else happened, and I had some people approach me, and they also liked what I was doing, and they were like, hey, we want to give you some money to like help grow this. And I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? And then so I got several rounds of funding, to grow that. We were working on that for a while.
Yeah. So it sounds like so far that your ability to write clearly, the fact that you were blogging very early on and potentially created some of the first blogs, has helped a lot in your evolutionary journey. Especially, you're also very active on other social medias. How have you been able to, like I say, look at, let's say, an upcoming trend and take advantage of that? Like the idea of blogging, you were as being one of the first ones, like what made you at the beginning be like, yeah, I think this maybe will be a thing. I want to keep doing this. And how do you look at like potential trends now of like, I'm going to get involved in this because this could be the next, blogging type of platform?
Yeah. So when I look at things, I don't look at them like that. I know a lot of people look at trends and they try to decide what should I do next.
Yeah.
And I've never done that. Before I even, did anything with Blogger and Google, I just had a plain web page and I was posting as if the world cared. But the way it started is I just started posting daily updates, just kind of like you would send out a newsletter.
Yeah.
And every day I would change it. And it was just plain HTML that, I coded just a page. But people started going there to see what I was doing. And so I wasn't using blogging software or anything. So then when Google acquired Blogger, that's when that happened. And they asked me to come and blog on their platform. But really, I was just throwing it up there. And then there were a lot of people from message boards and things who would, come and check it out. And I had a pretty big following of like people on message boards who like to look at that page and look at my update and then trash me, in the message board comments and say all kinds of awful things. Yeah. So really I didn't look at it as something, I wasn't trying to see, what will people do in the future? I just did it because I wanted to do it. And so now even like before I do something, I don't think about what are other people going to do. I just think about like, what do I want to do? And, what do I think is cool?
Yeah.
So if an app or something looks cool and everybody hates it, I'll still use it if I think it's cool.
Okay. Well, good. Well, it sounds like you've got very good instincts for this type of thing, which is great.
Really, I think it all goes back to writing, and just, like I started a little newspaper when I was 7 years old. So, it was, it's basically a newsletter, but really social media is like mini blogging, that's the way I look at it. It's like just putting your messages up there.
Okay.
Out there for the world. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about your current company, voltlab. What made you want to start this company, and what has it been like running this now as a social media marketing expert?
Well, my the Glitterati blog, it had about 3 million readers, and it was focused on pop politics. I called it pop politics because we would look at the pop culture-y side of politics. So the rule was, okay, if we interviewed Trump, a bad example, but like if we interviewed Trump, it wouldn't be about politics. Right. Although I did, interview him about stuff, or it would be, if we talked to McCain, it wouldn't be about politics. It would be about who's your best friend, or what kind of music do you listen to? Yeah. When we went to so anytime we went to the White House, it wasn't any, not for hard news or anything, but we would interview Obama's dog, so it would, and then when we interviewed celebrities, it couldn't be this story. My rule was it can't be about the new song. Maybe we can mention the song at the end, but it has to be about like, what are your causes? So we flipped it and we would show the fun human side of politics and then we would show the serious cause side of celebrity. So
very interesting.
What happened? It was fun, yeah. And I just didn't think celebrities were getting enough exposure, you know, with their causes, and I didn't think politicians, you know, everybody concentrates on policies and everything, but we don't really know who they are. So I wanted to flip it. Yeah. And and then what happened is a lot of we started doing campaigns around different things, you know, for the celebrities and with these, you know, different nonprofits and things. So it was sort of I guess you could say, a natural transition, because I just started working on social good campaigns with celebrity ambassadors and things like that.
Okay. As
a consultant.
Yeah. Oh, good. And then, so I guess with your initial campaigns, was it the issues that you were most interested in that kind of attracted you to that brand, and then their, you know, subsequent celebrity, or how did you decide which initial campaigns to work with?
I think anything cool. I mean, I don't think there are many